All right. The name of that song is Dirty Paws and Men. Of Monsters and Men, Dirty Paws. Katrin Moser 12th. It's from The Secret Life of Walter Mitty soundtrack, so if you haven't seen that movie, you really should. It's a fantastic film about a lot of things. Just a really good movie. I'm sorry I missed yesterday. It was a long day for me. We woke up late, and then my phone was dead the whole day, and I was out of town, so then I couldn't charge it. It was just a very annoying thing. But we're here. Finally. We're going to talk about this book. Well, happy birthday. So, let's just dive right in, because this book gives us a lot to talk about. Hold on one second. I got this shirt on Amazon, guys. I just looked for it on Amazon and it popped up. Can we start the live chat? I'm not going to give 2 minutes of silence to orange juice. I will give a moment. Okay. There we go. See, sorry. We lost sound. No, it was, the size of the shallop? Well, too many dead animals to remember. I'm always tired. Oh, okay, so let's start there then. Let's look at the story and start from just the things that Pi has now had to face on this boat. One of them being the slow decay and not decay, just what has been like the natural order of life happening on this boat. And he had to chill. You watched the trailer? Well, it was probably not that bad, but you might have seen things you didn't want to see yet. Okay, so let's see. Yeah, you don't want to, you do really want to watch the movie because it's incredible, but you might want to wait until we finish. You only have 1 week left. If you finish it sooner, you get to start the movie sooner, and then you'll be super proud and happy. So it's all up to you. The lifeboat is like, I always understood because I had the movie first. I always thought the lifeboat was around the same size as like the ones in Titanic, but a little bit longer. But if you see, you can even just Google a picture of the movie and it should come up. How can you fit a tiger, a hyena, an orange, and a human? Watched when it came out, but I barely remember. Oh, I think that's the point it's trying to make. Is like you can't really keep all of those things in such a small space. Oh, I've seen the movie. I've seen the movie before I read the book. I've seen the movie actually like 2 or 3 times. When it came out, I saw it in theaters like 2 or 3 times because it was just so visually stunning. And it also had, I love this story. Because the guy who plays Pi, I have a story that will make you believe in God. You know, it's so cool. But let's keep talking about that. What are your thoughts of the whole ship? Like, what are the thoughts so far of where we left Pi last, which was... I guess like right after he met Orange Juice. It's actually a bit odd the way he talks about the sharks, but they never really attacked him. Or how can a survive 7 months like that? Oh no, you should still read the book because the book is still very different from the movie. It's very similar, obviously. I don't know how much you can change, but it's still very different. I'm already noticing a lot of differences the way he interacts with everything. Well, sharks don't generally attack things. I think the truest part with when he talked about how occasionally that one big shark just slapped the side of the boat with a fin. Because sharks do that. They want to see what it is, what's in their environment, and they'll bump something or circle it before they decide to attack. They're cautious in that way. So yeah, the sharks wouldn't really attack him unless he was splashing and swimming around. Being in that situation brings down your spirit and mental stability, but Pi is very resourceful and smart 16-year-old building a raft and being able to catch fish and filter water. And I think that speaks to two things. His resourcefulness that you said. I think it speaks to his ingenuity and intelligence, and it also speaks to the fact that he's really bored. I think that's a huge thing, is that he has to continually find things to keep himself sharp and active. And he even says he's grateful to have Richard Parker to give him something to do, and if anything, to give him something to watch for an hour or so. I mean, the Tiger's fantasy, amazing at any time, so he can watch Tiger whenever. How can he manage to survive and let Richard Parker survive with only fish and turtles? I don't know. He worked really hard. I like the fact that no matter what, his faith keeps him grounded. Yes. I just like how he sees this suffering not as some punishment, but as a test almost. In the Bible or something. He's this is just my suffering that happens here, but it's happening on this grand scale. I thought that was cool too. It almost sounds like the start of a joke. The book has so many more layers than the movie. It's like the movie is an apple and the book is an onion. So I think you should the way that just the insight you can get with the book that doesn't have to happen with the immediacy of an image, I think is really cool. Remember, movies are all about the image and what you're seeing as well as what you're hearing. And books, the image has to be created for you. So it's so much, not richer, because the movie's fantastic too, but there is a difference. I really like the fact that as a vegetarian, Pi thinks twice before killing the fish. I think the only thing that matters to him now is surviving. And he talks about that. He talks about how the importance of survival starts to supersede all of these other small notions that allow us privilege in our daily lives. The choice of being a vegetarian was a privilege. And then now he's on this boat where all he can eat is really protein, maybe some of the algae. I think it was kind of gross the extent to which he eats, how much food he eats, how many different things he's already risked trying. When he he said tigers need 10 pounds, didn't he? 10 pounds of meat a day or something? And I think that's the thing. You also hear that he is slowly starving. He has that whole chapter where he talks about how sometimes when food comes, it's overabundant. There's too much and they can't really deal with it or store all of it or put it all away or eat even a fraction of it. So he tries to start having things, he's trying to get cured fish and stuff, and he's starting to make things with it. And then when there isn't food, there isn't food. He's in a part of the ocean that's just nothing. And that's another thing I want you guys to look at. Like, if you guys look at a map real quick and look for one that is an accurate size of the Pacific Ocean. Accurate scale. Not size, scale. So it's like supposed to be as big compared to other things. Huge. Huge. And he's on a boat that literally is like 1/1,000,000th the size of it. Or so small. I just still can't imagine like the things you see or you don't see when you're on the water for that long. Alone with all the salt, it just seems crazy. I don't know. I like to believe that that tiger is there surviving with him for 7 months. I like to believe that it was a gift given to him. And in any other biblical story, when they speak of like this patron saint or this prophet, let's say, this prophet going through some trial of suffering, sometimes there are things going through the trial with him. I think of, I don't know, it's like his animal companion, like in the Disney version of this thing. I think of like Mulan with her like dragon, and other Disney movies, they always have like an animal companion. I don't know. Honestly, I think it's very important because a lot of people, when something bad happens to them, they blame God, and when something good happens, they thank God. He added that he was thanking every animal he killed every time he prayed. Exactly. And Pi never blamed God for what happened to him. He always thought it was kind of a message from him. Which I think is a very interesting perspective. For Pi to have that awareness and to have that ability to be like, this isn't forever. This is just right now. And then even in the book, he says one of the best things about, or one of the things that saved him was his ability to forget about time. And all the other things that would have drove people crazy about this. Oh my God, yes, I was very squicked out with his description of the fish and all the parts he ate. Right? It was gross. I mean, even to the point of like drinking the barnacle juice and drinking like sea turtle blood. And, very like ingenious to use the sea turtle shells as like shields. But still, I don't know how hungry I'd have to get. I know I've never been that hungry, but I don't know how hungry I'd have to get to be eating all of the things he's eating. Or like he says, eventually he stopped like even like scaling the fish. He just started biting into them. I can't believe that dude tried eating tiger poo. So true, though. You don't want to talk about him eating Richard Parker's poop? Yo, Bookworm, I'm always so scared when he eats something new that will make him sick. But then he gets sick from starving, too. It's Morton's fork. I agree. I'm always worried about that. Like how, with fish and things like that, don't you have to be a little more careful? Like how is he eating all of these things very raw? And then, but I do also like how eventually he used turtle shells to like create a mixing bowl. And he'd grab some fish and tiger, like whatever egg yolk he found from sea turtles he would put in there, and he'd just eat whatever and cook whatever. I thought that was crazy. Rita wants to skip to chapter 77. Okay, so we were just talking about that. We're good? Sorry, guys, I'm scrolling back through comments. Just give me a sec. Okay, that's a great topic. Richard Parker taught Pi so much about wildlife without using words. Religion is such a huge part of Pi's life, and I enjoy it so much when he reminds us that there's a little time to pray, even though he's involved in a dangerous situation. There's always time to pray and kind of have that connection, right? And I think that's super cool and like powerful of him, that he can, and back to what I think what Rita said, like, that he continually uses this. He doesn't blame anyone, but he does admit that he falls into pits of despair or like sadness or complete hungriness. He falls into these things and he admits it, but he's like, I have to get back out. It's the only way to survive. And that human will and need to survive is what really, I think, is carrying him through this in a really cool, scary, love-hate relationship way. He speaks about being obsessed with food. I found it so human. Cool. We talk about Pi's will to live, but what about Richard Parker? Even he's an irrational animal. I think we could apply it to him too. Oh, absolutely. Like, we haven't seen Richard Parker, like, try to jump off the boat yet, right? He's very aware, I think, of where they are, what he can do, what he can't do, and he doesn't want any of that to change. I tried wildlife sushi. So true. There's tons of catch-22s. He can die from eating something new, but if he doesn't, he'll starve to death. He's like, he needs to feed and like take care of Richard Parker, but he can't get on the lifeboat. I love that. I'm watching through my fingers. You're reading the book like, no way. I'm reading all the comments, guys. I love how Pi says that Richard Parker has a language of his own. They might be very different, but this language is universal, and they manage to understand each other. I guess when you haven't eaten in a long time, anything can look and sound appealing, even tiger poo. I mean, think about it. He said it was like this warm, little, doughy ball that was like brown, and I'm like, I bet he thought it was, I bet he was hallucinating to think it was some sort of like brownie or warm pudding. Ew. Interesting how strongly his feelings are throwing from extreme one to another between fear and hunger for life. Okay, I'm going to the bottom. I missed Tessa's input and perspective. Me too. At the beginning, I found strange how Richard Parker would be easily tamed. Then it is still an animal out of the zoo. Life on a boat is probably similar to the one being inside of a cage. True. But I think there's also something about environment there that plays a factor. Like this tiger in the jungle, or even in a bigger enclosure, would feel as though it could be the alpha. But I bet in the ocean, on the water, with but this little boat to have like as a habitat, made it very difficult for Richard Parker to be like, I'm going to be strong. Because at the end of the day, I think he knows he needs Pi. Pi feeds him. Pi cleans his cage. Pi takes care of him. That tiger would have been dead within the first week. What chapter is that? The list of Pi's things on a boat. Chapter 73, My Greatest Wish. All right, I'm going to go through reading some things because there's one part that I want to read as well. Okay, hold on one sec. I just found chapter 73. My greatest wish, other than salvation, was to have a book. A long book with a never-ending story, one that I could read again and again with new eyes and a fresh understanding each time. Alas, There was no scripture in this lifeboat. I was a disconsolate Arjuna in the battle chariot without the benefit of Krishna's words. The first time I came upon a Bible on the bedside table of a hotel room in Canada, I burst into tears. I sent a contribution to the Gideons the very next day, with a note urging them to spread the range of their activity to all places where worn and weary travelers might lay down their heads, not to just hotel rooms, and that they should leave not only Bibles, but other sacred writings as well. I cannot think of a better way to spread the faith. No thundering from a pulpit, no condemnation from bad churches, no peer pressure, just a book of Scripture, quietly waiting to say hello, as gentle and powerful as a little girl's kiss on your cheek. Thank you, Bad Gaia. Love that. Why can't you do lives at like 4 p.m.? I don't know. It's a good question. I'll think about it. How the hell is Simpson sank so damn fast? I think that is a very good question. But I'm kind of in the position of like, I want to have the perspective of Pi in that sense, and being like, I can spend time thinking about this every day, but too much will take you into this pit of despair, and then you'll lose your will to live, and then that serves no one. I agree. We've been with, suffering Pi in the ocean for a long time. It's really cool to see who he's become. And to know that he survives this giant ordeal. Chapter 52. All right. Sorry, don't know what happened there. I think I accidentally clicked the button on the side. Give me a sec. Okay, I have another thing I want to read too. One boy with a complete set of light clothing, but for one lost shoe. One spotted hyena. One Bengal tiger. One lifeboat. One ocean. One God. I think it's cool that you could tell he's like trying to figure out things to do also. He's so bored. And that's why I think it's always important to carry a book. Just for the record, I wonder if he could read this book while he's at sea, if this book would help. I imagine it would. Well, I think one of the interesting things... Sorry, I'm reading comments again. The chapter where he sings Happy Birthday to his mother made me a bit upset. It's moments like that when you kind of forget... For me, when I kind of forget the weight... The true weight of his ordeal. He didn't just get stranded at sea. He lost his entire family while traveling to a new place, having left what was his home. So he left one place to go to another with nothing. His family and the bit of culture and who they were with them, they're all gone. The ship sank. He's been at sea with... He started to give up on the fact that he's like, I don't think I'll get found by a ship. I don't think I'm going to be saved like that by a plane. I'm going to be saved by landing, touching land. That's the only way that makes sense and that I can actually even count on. He's gotten to the point where he's had to be realistic in a way that I can't even understand. Do you think Pi and Richard Parker have a symbiotic or parasitic relationship? Maybe parasitic. I think you can actually, that's a very good question. Does everyone understand that question? Do you think Pi and Richard Parker have a symbiotic or a parasitic relationship? And if you do, let's see what your answer is in the comments, because I think you could. I'm not going to say it. We'll read a few comments and then I'll say my thoughts. Well, with this book in the middle of the ocean, you would know what to make out of turtle shells. True. Basra to Ki Basra. I was going to read that next. That's what I have saved. It's amazing that throughout his life, or throughout his traumatic experience, Pi still has faith. Do I read the comments? I'm reading them right now. This kind of book makes me reflect so much how lucky and grateful we are, even in bad situations. You get your happiness where you can. You reach a point where you're at the bottom of hell, yet you have your arms crossed and a smile on your face. I think there's something to be said about how smart Pi is as well. Pi was always a reader. He talked about that, and he talked about this kind of meditative understanding he had. And I think that is something that's benefiting him. And I'm also curious how someone would do without the knowledge of Scripture or the knowledge of these prophetic trials and tribulations that have had to happen biblically. Pi feels, I think it's interesting that he feels so, not feels, but he's expressed, he's like, I feel like I'm in one of these stories. And it can mention different books, different Bibles. I argue parasitic because Richard Parker doesn't truly benefit Pi. But he does keep him sane, as humans are social beings. See, Book Irwin, that's where I would say that's the one thing that's making me think it's more symbiotic. Although Pi has to do a lot of physical labor for Richard Parker. Richard Parker gives Pi the ability to survive day in and day out mentally, which if he were to lose that strength, that mental strength, he could go crazy and not make it. I think it's a bit of both, parasitic because Pi seems to be taking care of Richard Parker. I think they can't survive without each other. Pi fishes for Richard Parker, so Richard Parker doesn't kill him, and Richard Parker gives him company and helps him stay grounded somehow. Symbiotic maybe because Pi needs the tiger for the sharks. And to fight against the loneliness, Richard, well, Pi feeds him and cleans after him after all. I wonder if Pi would have lasted long if Richard Parker weren't there. I don't know. I think he really understands animals in a very unique way. It's definitely helped him survive the ordeal. The chapter in which he expressed his desire for a book reminded me of Anne Frank. Books are such great company. True. It's like when he talks about zoomorphia in chapter 32, and I kind of think that's when and how he introduced his relationship with Richard Parker. There's sometimes such a deep understanding from such a young man. Right? That's one thing. Pi was, I guess, always had this wisdom. Maybe it was one of the reasons that he sought out this greater spiritual connection through religion. Can we just thank you, Mirelia? It's really incredible how a sheltered bookish boy could think about surviving on a boat for 227 days together with the tiger. Can we talk about how long that is? That's almost a year. That's 2/3 of a year. 227 days? 7 months? I think, like when he was talking about the other people that survived, and he was like, this person did 27 days. This person did 32 days. This person did 72 days. I'm like, wow, I think that's where I'd cut it off. 75 days would be as much as I really wanted to do. And maybe I'd go the whole 100 days. And he's like, and this guy did 130 days. And he's like, I did 227. You're like, oh, shoot. I think they're helping each other. Sorry, that was a tangent I went on. I think they're helping each other some way, because if Richard Parker wasn't there, maybe he's all alone with his thought. Richard Parker keeps his mind alert. I think Pi says so himself at the point. The fact that Richard Parker in his own boat encourages him to fight for his life because he's in imminent danger, and more important than the sea, definitely symbiotic. I think it's a bit of both. Pi has the fear that Parker's still Tiger, but at the same time, helping each other, symbiotic. Okay, so let's make the argument for parasitic. Like, is it really symbiotic? While mental health is great, Pi might still do the crazy things like eat and stuff, because those are like human needs. While we are social creatures, he could go crazy. But then who's to know he won't like jump in and swim away from his boat or something? Even though Pi has nothing left, he still thanks God for the small amount of things he still has. I find that inspiring. Andrea Whedon, I agree. That was, like, I think it is really, like, I think it'd be so easy to give up. I don't think there are many people who will be able to do 227 days. No, I don't think so either. Pi needs Richard Parker because, in my own opinion, Richard Parker is the only thing that keeps him sane. Richard Parker is an important piece of his past life at the zoo. I agree. It's kind of keeping everyone together, everyone whole. 227 days with a tiger? This kid is wild. Pi becomes quite the fisherman, it seems. And Pi found some routine that kept him alive. God is the biggest force for Pi in the situation. I mean, literally, God is surrounding him in the ocean. Okay, so now I'm going to read this one part that I wanted to bring up. Chapter 56. Lydion. I must say a word about fear. It's life's only true opponent. Only fear can defeat life. It is a clever, treacherous adversary. How well I know. It has no decency, respects no law or convention, shows no mercy. It goes for your weakest spot, which it finds with unerring ease. It begins in your mind, always. One moment you're feeling calm, self-possessed, happy. Then fear, disguised in the garb of a mild-mannered doubt, slips into your mind like a spy. Doubt meets disbelief, and disbelief tries to push it out. But disbelief is a poorly armed foot soldier. Doubt does away with it with little trouble. You become anxious. Reason comes to do battle for you. You are reassured. Reason is fully equipped with the latest weapons of technology. But to your amazement, despite superior tactics and a number of undeniable victories, reason is laid low. You feel yourself weakening, wavering. Your anxiety becomes dread. Fear next turns fully to your body, which is already aware that something terribly wrong is going on. Already your lungs have flown away like a bird, and your guts have slithered away like a snake. Now your tongue drops dead like a possum, while your jaw begins to gallop on the spot. Your ears go deaf. Your muscles begin to shiver as if they had malaria, and your knees to shake as though they were dancing. Your heart strains too hard, while your sphincter relaxes too much. And so with the rest of your body, every part of you, in the manner most suited to it, falls apart. Only your eyes work well. They always pay proper attention to fear. Quickly you make rash decisions. You dismiss your last allies, hope and trust. There, you've defeated yourself. Fear, which is but an impression, has triumphed over you. The matter is difficult to put into words. For fear, real fear, such as shakes you to your foundation, such as you feel when you are brought face to face with your mortal end, nestles in your memory like gangrene. It seeks to rot everything, even the words with which to speak of it. So you must fight hard to express it. You must fight hard to shine the light of words upon it, because if you don't, if your fear becomes a wordless darkness that you avoid, perhaps even manage to forget, you open yourself to further attacks of fear, because you never truly fought the opponent who defeated you. Crazy, right? Super intense. And it's as if he's looking at fear and trying to tell him what it is. Like, fear, I see you there. Trust me, I know what you're trying to do, man. He's like breaking it down in such a way. And I thought that was such a powerful chapter. And it was a whole chapter. Oh. Okay. I just adore the tone of this novel. It sounds beautiful. Oh, thank you. The way he described fear was so visceral. There's so many powerful quotes in this book. You can get used to anything. Haven't I said that already? Isn't that what survivors say? Crazy. I can feel his mood. Intense but true. I'm going to scroll back a little bit. You must think I lost all hope at that point. I did. And as a result, I perked up and felt much better. Faith in God is an opening up, a letting go, a deep trust, a free act of love. But sometimes it was hard to love. No, this book I agree, the quotes in this book are awesome. And the world that is created is so vibrant. And that's why I can't wait for you guys to see the movie, for those of you that haven't. Because it's such a vibrant, beautifully, visually stunning movie. And I get the same sense from the book when he talks about this giant expanse that he's sitting in the center of, constantly floating around. It's almost like his own custom circle, his custom sky. I think it's stunning. And it is pretty deep. Should we talk about other quotes now? It does put me in a mood for like reflection. I think multiple times I've been able to stop reading this book and just sit there and be like, what an interesting thought. This book, Tish Skywalker, what's up? This book showcases both his physical struggle and his mental struggle, and that's one of the most powerful parts of it. It plays both struggles as two sides of a coin. The physical struggle creates the mental struggle, and the mental struggle makes it hard to physically survive. Yeah, bring Jordan's quote. Hell yeah. All right, Rita, let's do the quotes. Any quotes you want to talk about, want to put up here? I'm going to be reading them. Even though Pi is struggling to survive, he still sees so much beauty in nature and life within. Can there be any happiness greater than the happiness of salvation? I don't know. I like how he remembers to mention all the animals that died or he killed in his prayers every day. And that's one thing that I think is cool. This constant gratefulness and thankfulness for what has been given to him. The few things he needs to survive that are there, he's always grateful that they came. Only death consistently excites your emotions, whether contemplating it when life is safe and stale or fleeting it when life is threatened and precious. I've survived so far, miraculously. Now I will turn miracle into routine. I will refuse it. I will make it through this nightmare. I will beat the odds, as great as they are. I have survived so far, miraculously. Yes. I'd write the quote at the end of chapter 60, but Instagram has character limits, so I can't do it. Okay, I'll look. Life is a peephole, a single tiny entry onto a vastness. How can I not dwell on this brief, cramped view I have of things, this peephole I've got? I mumbled words of a Muslim prayer and went back to sleep. Crazy. Okay, hold on. It is true that those we meet can change us, sometimes so profoundly that we are not the same afterwards, even unto our names. Ooh, I love that from the beginning of the book. Oh, cool. Annie Hansen, thank you for bringing that up. I remember that when he talked about opposites. What struck me most was when he talked about opposites. You guys, we haven't talked about it. The heat and the cold, the wet and the dry, the boredom and the terror. I had to stop hoping so much. Survival had to start with me. Things didn't turn out the way they're supposed to, but what can you do? You must take life the way it comes at you and make the best of it. To choose doubt as a philosophy of life is akin to choosing immobility as a means of transportation. Faith in God is an opening up, a letting go, a deep trust, and a free act of love. I love that quote because it's a little contradictory to sometimes what we hear about religion. I think that's what faith is, that idea that you're not going to try to rationalize it, you're just going to accept it. Life is so beautiful that death has fallen in love with it, a jealous, possessive love that grabs at what it can. We fight, no matter the cost of battle, the louses we take, the improbability of success. We fight to the very end. My favorite quote? I think it was about fear. The very real breakdown he had about kind of like the power of his fear. When you've suffered a great deal in life, each additional pain is both unbearable and trifling. I Heart Richard Parker Club is opening now. To be a castaway is to be a point perpetually at the center of a circle. We commonly say in the trade that the most dangerous animal in a zoo is man. There are some quotes in the movie, for sure. And the movie's great. I can't speak highly enough about it because I thought it was so good. I mean, I saw it 3 times. To lose a brother is to lose someone with whom you can share the experience of growing old, who is supposed to bring you a sister-in-law, nieces, and nephews. And Richard Parker was not perfect. That's true. Very true. I'm not going to lie, I'm kind of sad that we're going to be finishing this book. The way he personifies fear, I think you have to. You have to be that understanding with your fear, in a way. You have to know what it is. That's why he keeps saying you have to name it. When you name it, you can fight it. watch me finish this book as soon as possible so I can finally watch the movie. I challenge you to do it because you're going to love it. You're going to be like, damn, that was worth it. Yeah, so this book has given us a lot of things to think about, a lot of things to talk about, and I think a lot of things to reflect with. Like this book, I think of all the books we read, this is one that feels the most meditative to me. Does that make sense? Right? It's a great point of reflection. I agree, Thina Giordano. I feel like this book is going to stick with me for a while. I agree. I definitely agree. Yeah, it makes sense. Like The Alchemist. It feels like The Alchemist or Tuesdays with Morrie, but because in The Alchemist, it seems a little more positive. You know, he's traveling with someone. He's on a journey that he set out to be on. And in Pie's case, no one set out to be in the middle of the ocean. They set out to go from India to Canada. That was the journey. And now he's on this whole other epic because of this. It's a religious book, meaning not with a religious topic, but mostly about how life is seen and presented. It is the irony of this story that the one who scared me witless to start with was the very same who brought me peace, purpose, I dare even say wholeness. This book makes you appreciate the little things in life. You're telling me. To me, this book is slow because what I enjoy about books is human relationships, and we don't have that much. Well, I think there's a very human, nurturing relationship between Richard Parker and Pie. And I think it's cool how that carries throughout the book. Never has simple arithmetic brought such a smile to my face. Oh, and he's talking about how much food he has. I love that quote. Anyone know how much time we have left? We have just under 10 minutes. I was good today. I remember. Dang, I have to go. Can't wait for the end. I read this book. This book gives me a lot to sit with. Like, other books, I can, put it down and I walk away. This book, I have to, close it and then I sit with it for, 5 minutes. And then I do constantly find myself attempting to understand that solace, that privacy, that quiet. I love when he talks about how the ocean makes different sounds. Is this how you tame Stella? Absolutely. Hi, Michelle.
Hi.
How many books do I read in a year? Oh, ooh. At least 10 with Rosende reads. How many? Richard Parker was a burden to Pie in the beginning, but Pie's lifeline. Can you give a tip to overcome the reader's block? Just keep reading. Give yourself a page at a time. Or don't read when you don't want to. I don't. I actually only read when I really want to. Because if not, I find myself trying to read, and then I'm not reading. I'm looking at words and pronouncing them. So I mean, if you don't want to read that, then don't. Wait till you have some time, or say, before bed I'm going to read. It's really easy to read before bed. The book's always on your nightstand, and if anything, you fall asleep, which is the goal of going to bed. So, win-win. It's also things. Just finding a way that works for you, I think, when it comes to reading. And then also finding the genre of book or the book's author that speaks to you and makes reading fun. I found that in school because we were given a lot of books and we had to read them. They didn't really account for personality and style in the sense that I hadn't developed my own personal connection to books yet. And it took me later on to find like, oh, this type of book I can read in one sitting. And then after that, I was able to read books that I didn't like as much because I developed a habit from reading books that I really enjoyed. I prefer paper books as well. I just like holding them. And I think about this book. If I were probably in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean, my Kindle or my iPad would have died by now. And then I would just have this useless cutting board, essentially. Have you tried writing yet? I have. I'm starting right now, actually. I've been writing every day. It's been cool. Am I sure about the Count of Monte Cristo? Absolutely. Oh, or that's right. Or you could listen to the audiobook even. That helps a lot. Do you sniff your books? Every day. Old books smell the best. Oh my gosh, it's 2:30 there? I'm sorry to keep you guys up so late. Sorry. My bad. I don't know if it's sniffing. I think it's deeply smelling. I try to really deeply smell my books. Book sniffing all the way. Thank you, Camille. Keeping us on track. Yeah, Count of Monte Cristo is a huge book. But trust me, it's going to take a bit for us to read it, but it's going to be great. It's going to be great. It's a great book. So it's okay. Freshly printed. I think just books maybe. Old books have like a different smell. New books have a different smell, and they both smell great. Any hints about what I'm writing? Right now I'm just writing in a journal every day. Putting ideas down on paper. I'm not trying to be goal-oriented yet with the writing other than writing every day. After that, I'm not trying to push myself. I'm trying to see where I naturally start to. I don't have any signed novels, but one year someone gave me an amazing first edition. I can't remember the book because it's in my storage that I told you guys about. But it's a cool first edition. I think it's a Kurt Vonnegut first edition, which is really cool. The Book Sniffing Club. Hey guys, welcome to our band. We're the Book Sniffers. Get your nose in there. Okay, look at the vastness of Count of Monte Cristo the same way that Pi looks at his time in the ocean. He doesn't. He just lives day by day as we will read word by word, page by page, chapter by chapter. And eventually, we'll have crossed the entire ocean that is the book, The Count of Monte Cristo. Am I excited to come to London? I cannot wait to be in London. It's going to be very cool. Started writing my second novel today. Wow, cool. Do you remember the first book you ever read? Mine was Harry Potter. The first book I ever read was probably like the Treehouse, Magic Treehouse or something. Oh, I do want to say this. I saw Beautiful Boy, that movie with Steve Carell and Timothée Chalamet. It is heavy. I'm pretty sure I think it's rated R. So I don't know if you guys can see it, but if you can and you're interested, it's amazing. Absolutely incredible. Back to books. I don't know what my favorite book is, but guys, we're getting off topic, and I think that means we're almost done with Life of Pi. We have to read the last 100 pages. So everyone, that's for this Sunday. We're going to crush the book, meaning we're going to finish it. We're going to read the last 100 pages. We're going to have a great time, and then we jump into Things Fall Apart, which I am really excited to do. The next live will be on Sunday, and it will be most likely in the morning because I'm going to a wedding. But that might also mean it might be in the afternoon because I'm going to a wedding. I will keep you posted. I will give a lot more notice. Yes, it is one Timothée Chalamet. No, I'm not going to lie. The Diary of Anne Frank, I thought was very cool, historically amazing, but I didn't connect to it as much as I wanted to. So that was something that disappointed me. But I thought it was super fascinating at the same time. All right, thank you, Rita. So, Rosende Reads PDFs on Twitter already has some of the PDFs for Things Fall Apart. Enjoy the last bit of this book. I cannot wait to talk to you about everything, and then hopefully a lot of you could finish during the week so that you can watch the movie before the live. Maybe we can talk about it then, or we can dedicate maybe another live sometime the following week to talk about it. We'll talk about that later. But remember, 100 pages, finish the book. Sunday we'll talk about it. The next book is Things Fall Apart. The book after that is The Count of Monte Cristo, the unabridged version. We have 2 minutes left. Thank you guys very much. Remember, keep questioning things, keep being curious, keep exploring, keep learning, and continue to be positive forces of change in your environment. This week, in the same thought process as Pi, try to stay a little more open, a little more optimistic when great challenges face you. And yeah, we'll talk to you soon. All right, guys, have a great day. Enjoy your Tuesday. Today's Tuesday. Enjoy your Tuesday. Peace out, guys. See you next time.